volunteered to help you with or without a hardship. If me, as someone who used to own an escort agency, can say,
taking the convo to high levels, comment, like and subscribe if you're enjoying Durable Minds Radio.
That's trying to manage or, be the madam or whatnot over the 16, right? And really get an understanding of it, of, the female that be thinking they're the madam, or, the life coach or the sugar baby counselor, whatever they want to call themselves, right? That female is guiding them females into becoming trick trusters, right? Into thinking like currency or exchange of money is something like real love. You get what I'm saying? So that's what we're going to touch on. That's what we're going to touch on tonight, right? And before we touch on that, we want to talk about the lovely lady right here. Miss, I think they call her Manhattan Madam. Miss Manhattan Madam, right? Miss Manhattan Madam. I think her real name is Kristen Davis, and she's became popular because she was in on a scandal, right? She was in that Wall Street culture. So she was around them wealthy man, and then, not even during the daytime in the Wall Street, it's a nightlife, right? So she's seeing how these wealthy men deal with, certain females, to where she thought, oh, I can, be a recruit type. I can recruit females and link them up with these high-end type of tricks, right? So that was her end game. Not necessarily coming from the lifestyle, right? You got the OG madams, the real way, of coming up in the madam game would be, the female was actually in the S working world first, right? And then with being in the S working world, she didn't got her experience and understood how to utilize what she got going, and then maximize it by probably, introducing it to other females. And then over time developing, that elderly madam type of characteristic. No, not this lady, right? This lady, she was in the Wall Street world, right? So when she got in that Wall Street world, she figured it out. This is the late 90s, early 2000s. So like the nightlife spending is different with the teas and whatnot, right? So with that being said, she figured out, okay, now I'm going to start being discreet. I'm going to, create privacy. You know what I'm saying? And within that discreet and privacy, I'm going to try to, develop companionship with these tricks, right? And then she introduces it through her luxury and whatnot. And what really puts her on is it's a scandal. I believe it was like one of the governments over there, or one of the governors over there, got caught up with a prostitute or whatnot. And somehow, some way, this lady's name get brought up, right? This lady's names get brought up. She runs with the clout. Within running with the clout, that wasn't her first run. She actually, I think she gets a charge, or they attempt of charging her with something of, promoting prostitution, something like that, right? And, that gets us all publicized in media, so she got the clout, right? She got the clout. So within that clout, she becomes the madam. Not really off the experience of it. It's all, high end. And you got to understand, when these females, when they get this clout off thinking they was doing something in the managing and know how the man work and all that, and then they want to, try to teach or educate it, they're not understanding the grassroots level. So these ladies that's hearing this might, be in a situation that this lady right here never experienced. You get what I'm saying? Never experienced, because she's never really been in the field of the S working world and worked her way up and seen what could go wrong or what, couldn't go wrong, right? So with that being said, they got to take it with a grain of salt of what she's saying, right? But before that, let's get into the little video, So she got a little clout, And then she ran to the, you know what I'm saying, the social media world. And within the social media world, right, this is where she starts oh shoot, let me help y'all out over here on IG. Well, IG, y'all just gonna have to listen. Y'all just gonna have to listen, because when I play y'all's, it's a little slow. Unless y'all want to come to TikTok, and then y'all could be up to speed. I appreciate you. I appreciate you hitting the screen for me, Papa P. Appreciate that, Papa Gemma P. But yeah, like I'm saying, so she runs to the internet, and when she runs to the internet, this is what she's preaching, right? So let's get into it.
I used to be a madam. I taught my girls how to take $1,000 an hour booking and turn it into a $15,000 overnighter. On average, my girls made $20,000 to $30,000 a week, cash, their cut, in their pocket. A lot of them were taken on trips, shopping sprees, expensive dinners, booked repeatedly, and treated really well. Taught them how to do this, and I'm gonna teach you.
And listen, when she says this, she also would say, you know, when they do run into these type of gentlemen, to, you know, look at this gentleman long term, right? Because that's the end game, right? That's the real sell pitch, to where not only can you get a wealthy man and get your way, you can actually find love too, right? And that's where the misdirection comes in at. That's where the misinterpretation comes in at, right? Because, you know, and we're going to touch on it, how, you know, the wealthy tricks might look at the female, to where these females really don't realize that, because, well, for one, this lady right here never maybe experienced it on a grassroots level and worked their way up to the high end tricks to really understand. She came in through the side thrower, through the Wall Street game. You get what I'm saying?
This is part one in how to find a provider man, how to get a man to provide for you, how to get him to do what you want. This is going to upset some of you, but the first thing that you have to do is stop choosing the wrong man. Not every man is a provider man. Not
Now y'all hear that, right? It says provider man. Not every man is a provider man. What is a provider man, right? Now, so when she says a provider man, in my ears, I hear like a yes man, you know, the trick man, right? But understand, she's using the word madam, right? Ex madam. So therefore, her audience, her core audiences, come up in, you know, 9 times 10, the escorting life. So, you know, when she uses these type of words, it kind of gives the misdirection to the ladies that's listening, to where now they're trying to, you know, get the best of both worlds. In reality, you know, long run down the line in life, that might not be the best thing, because they're thinking, oh, if I get this, you know, this wealthy man to like me through buying me things and through spending money on me, that's real love. And reality is, he's not thinking that. Do you know what I mean? He ain't thinking that. Especially if you was professing in some escorting world.
rich guy is actually generous. Some of them are exceptionally cheap. Contrary to some of the courses I see being sold out there, there is nothing you can say or do. There is no magic word, no magic phrase that's going to turn a house hoe into a husband provider. That will not happen when you are wasting time trying to figure out how to turn yourself into a pretzel to say the right thing, to get the man to step up. You're wasting time. That means
And listen, you see how the approach is, you know, you have to be uppity. You don't be wasting words with them. And reality is, if you're looking at it in the professional mindset, like I said, because she's talking to escorts, you would think, you know, that she's talking to the squares, right? You would think she's talking to, you know, the square relationships, but she's not, right? I go down her comments, and I see females is like, yeah, I met this one trick and he just spent all his money on me and we're happily married right now. And it's like, what? And it's like, so I'm thinking, okay, this is what they're doing now. And now they're like, you know, let me be a 304 in disguise, right? Let me be a 304 in disguise, right? But really, I'm a square. But I'm gonna use these 3 or 4 tactics to the trick man that I really like, right? Because obviously they're going to the guys that they're attractive to, right? So you got to keep all that in mind to where it's like, man, it's like you trying to, live the best of both worlds, and it doesn't really work that way, because if he's going to be a trick, he's not just looking to trick on you forever. You get what I'm saying? If he has that trick mentality, especially the wealthier tricks, they didn't work too hard to just be wanting a trick on one female.
He's never going to step up. Why? Because he's not the right guy. A lot of men hate women. A lot of men are resentful that they have to pay for things. A lot of men who actually have money don't want to spend it on you. And there's nothing you can do. It is no slight to you. He's just the wrong guy for the goals that you actually want.
No, he's not the wrong guy for you. You're trying. The female shouldn't be trying, especially if she's in the S working industry. She shouldn't be trying to go look for the man that's for her. That don't make no sense. If you're on the field and you're working in that environment, you shouldn't be looking for the man. You should be looking for the man that wants to spend money for your time, and then move on. You know what I'm saying? And then move on, because there's plenty of those men out there, right? You're gonna spend too much time trying to deal with one of them type of men, or looking for one of them men that want to trick on you and like you, and then years down the line, he gonna catch on and get tired of that stuff, and then leave you, and now you're gonna have to do it all over again. No, you don't enter that world with that mindset. And I'm gonna get to who is the man, and that's why it's important about the 16 man when the females are living within that S working world. It's very important to understand that it's bigger than just managing. You know what I mean? That's why when you talk to the madams and they be like, oh, manage this, manage that. But it's like, who is the man for that female you're managing? You're telling them to go get with the trick man. That's supposed to be their man? Come on now.
If you are trying to figure out how to get him to do this, he is instantly the wrong one. The right one is going to volunteer to help you with or without a hardship. If me, as someone who used to own an escort agency, can say, you must do X, X, and X for her time, and I got an instant yes, that is the type of guy that you are looking for. I can make part 2 to help you to identify that man.
No, we don't care about your part 2, lady. We don't care about your part 2, lady. Right? And you gotta understand, man, there's a lot of cons when it comes to this, right? There's a lot of cons when it comes to the females that be thinking they want to kick out, quote unquote, game to other females that's, living within the lifestyle, right? You know what I mean? It's way more to that, right? And within that, you got to understand, when you're thinking to make the trick man as your husband fantasy, right? It doesn't really go like that, right? And especially when they're trying to do it through the internet and deliver the message, and that's being taught, finding a provider man and all that type of stuff, that doesn't even make sense, right? That doesn't even make sense. You know what I mean? So we really gonna jump on it, man, because it's a lot of females that's out there doing this, right? It's a lot of females out there that's doing this. And the reason is, it could be, the motivation could be unclear. For one, it could be unclear, right? It could be trust can become weak, right? They scared to trust themselves. You know what I mean? It could be a lot of things. My bad. I had a quick message. I had a quick text message I had to get on to, man. I had a quick message to get on to, right? And reality is, dog, when females is picking this up, one second. Oh my God. This is why I be waiting till a little later to jump on. Hold on. All right, 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 all right. Now, where was I at? What was we talking about? Okay. Like I was trying to tell you, it's a lot of cons when these females be trying to coach other females through the internet, especially if they don't got no experience in this lifestyle. And a lot of these females, this is how they think they enter the lifestyle. They, especially if they got that little 304 phase people be talking about, this is how they be trying to enter through the lifestyle. They're going to run to the internet and they're going to find something like this, right? They're going to find something like this. And this is really heavy on manipulation, right? These ladies that be talking on the internet or whatnot, this is really heavy in manipulation, right? Because it's like very, very money motivated, right? It's like role playing in a catch, right? To where it kind of feeds into the trick in a manipulation tactic instead of in a persuasive tactic, right? As for the ones in the real lifestyle, we come in with the approach of persuasion, meaning we being real for what it is. You get what I'm saying? And it ain't no role playing, right? It's no emotional strategy behind it. See, when these girls be popping they little game they want to call game, they be having this type of emotional strategy behind it. You know, it's like he's paying for an experience, or she's performing a role. You know what I'm saying? Where they both are trying to, like, she's teaching them to, both of them get attached to this fantasy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these females, they'll do that. They'll come in and they'll try to, this is a manipulation tactic, especially on the internet. It's so easy to do it on the internet now. That trick man to the husband fantasy. A lot of girls be like, yeah, if you just act a certain way, and guys do it too. Guys do it too. These guru dudes do it too. I'm not counting out the dudes, right? But I touch on the dudes a lot. I figure to start touching on these females that, we don't even know if they in the grassroots of the game either. They come from all, and the catch is they come from the internet. And what the internet does, like, see, back in the day, the ladies in the grassroots trying to figure it out, they had to rely on, like, celebrities. They had to rely on what's on the TV and whatnot, right? So when social media came in, now any average Joe that got some money can put on a persona and then feed it to the internet as if they, did, whatever they're preaching out there, like they came up off of that. When reality is, it's not. They just know how to play the persona. They knew a little bit, but now their audience is really in the grassroots. But they never been in the grassroots. So they know a little bit because it correlates, like, oh, I'm a high-end escort, so I might as well reach down to the grassroots people, the ears of the grassroots, and try to sell this as if I came from where they was. And reality is they never did. But because of the internet and social media, it creates that pathway, right? To where celebrities, they actually have to work a little bit. So they'll have a more genuine story, more genuine information to tell you back in the day, to where you knew there was going to be hurdles and things going on. As when the internet and social media opens up, they're not going to tell you the cons. They're just going to tell you, oh, act this way, act that way, and it's going to work. This is the recipe, and it's like, come on now. That's very far-fetched to me, especially if you're not able to give examples of, your own experience and what you're preaching, right? If you're saying this, that, and the third, and it's like, oh, I've teach girls, that's her experience. I've teach girls this and that, and it's like you're not telling the backstory to that either, though. It sounds good on the surface, but we don't really know. We do not really know. And you gotta understand, most of these high-end tricks, they want to separate, the money from, like, truly, showing their emotions, or truly, trusting somebody with their emotions. You get what I'm saying? So you got to keep that in mind too. So you would think, if the man is, buying all these gifts and paying bills and traveling and spoiling the female, you would think he would want to hide that relationship. You would think he want to avoid the public attachment. You know what I'm saying? High-end trick enters the track. Okay, did you want to come up here? Did you want to come up here and elaborate what we're talking about? Because I asked you a question, right? Come on up here. Let me see. Let me see. Come on up here. Let me talk to you, man.
Hello.
Yes, yes, yes. Are you there?
Yeah, this is me.
Okay, I would like to ask you a question, sir.
You know what? Let me put in my AirPods just to make sure that there's no residual sound. Cool. Cool. Give me just a sec. Boom. First, and the second AirPod in as well. Alrighty. Ready to rock. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep, yep. We can hear you loud and clear, man.
Alrighty. Go ahead. Ask away.
So, my question to you is, since you consider yourself a high end trick, would you ever wife a female that is an escort?
The only female I would ever wife is Shayna Ray. That's the only one. Only one. She's actually married though. That's weird. Not trying to put all her business out. I don't think necessarily anybody really knows her out here, but I mean, she's doing her thing. I mean, she's got her millions of followers. I mean, I seen it before. It's not necessarily like I haven't, but um that's the only situation I would. I mean, as far as how I even kind of go about the life of what I do, um, you know, she's a couple bandos now. At the time that I went to see her, it was just a bando for the time that I seen her, which was cool. You know what I'm saying? I initially was already following her via IG, and then when I had seen the ad, I was like, "Whoa!" I had to book immediately. So I was just surprised that it was actually a real person when I actually seen her. I think that's probably the best I could do just in general. But I mean, that's enough about her.
Right.
That's
Can
kind of
you
the
answer
only.
the question though? Is it a yes or
Yeah.
no?
Uh, yes, just for that specific situation under certain circumstances. But yeah,
So
that's about it.
yes to one female, yes to one escort or whatever you want to call it. Like, I don't know who you're talking about. And my question is why? Why to that only one? Why to that only one?
I mean, I think it's just because of who specifically I am. I think really it's more so just about objectifying who this lady is. Like, I mean, say it's more so just the way she kind of looks. Being like, oh, damn, like this lady looking great. And I'll be like, oh, yep, that's my BM right there, and to be on some.
So hold on, because you just start rambling. So it's the way she looks. So what I'm asking, so I'm trying to understand is you're a high end trick, so you don't be tricking off on the way the female looks. Like you don't trick off on attractive females.
Nah, that's all I really do. Yeah, to be honest.
So
Yeah.
within all them other attractive females, have you ever thought to wife one of them?
Not really, no, like
Okay.
not
Now
at
my
all.
next question is, why do you think females like this lady right here um, be coaching to other females that's in the lifestyle that they can find the high end man that would wife them? Why do you believe that? Or why do you think that is? And you just said you wouldn't.
Um, I think it really just depends on your personnel. It depends on the situation and your personnel. So I mean, if you can find your way and manipulate that, like, because I've seen that lady before. I've seen that lady before. Um, and I think like her advice, it works for certain types of females in that kind of space. But if you're not really of that mindset, it's not really gonna work for you. You know what I'm saying? Um, but yeah, I think that's why she's in that space able to kind of successfully do what she does to those types of women of that ilk or of that um tenure, or I'm trying to figure out the word, but you know what I mean
Right,
if you kind
right,
of get where I'm
right.
going from.
Well, yeah, yeah. We appreciate you coming up, nobody. Appreciate it, man. We'll
Any
chop it up in a minute. Chop it up in a minute, man. Good talk, huh? Good talk. But like I said, man, when it comes to the female that wants to deal with, like you said, nobody, he's a high-end trick. Let's say, for example, he meets a female. He thinks the female's attracted. They met on, in the lifestyle or whatever. They met as he was being a trick and she was being, whatever you want to label her. Boom, business transaction. They feeling each other, right? It's a lot of cons when the female starts wanting to get attached to the trick, right? That attention starts feeling like love. You know what I'm saying? When reality is not. You know what I'm saying? Gifts can start feeling like loyalty when reality is not, to where now that dependence start feeling like security, but it's really not, right? And to where now she's getting emotional invested and all of that. You get what I'm saying? To where now she's kind of financially depending on the trick. Like I said on one of the little reels I be making, you know what I'm saying? They forget that he is a trick and they start believing he's a regular or whatnot, right? And this all comes from getting the information from this lady or from ladies that's like her that be thinking they know the game and, oh yeah, you got to find the high end and lock him down and all of that, right? To where now when it don't work as what they said, they're too emotionally invested in everything, right? And within them emotional investments, they're too financially invested now. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying, man. But I appreciate nobody coming up. Appreciate no good. And he say he a high-end trick. I don't know. He might not even be a high-end trick, man. He trying to flex his tricking, man. It's cool, man. It's cool if you just a regular trick, man. I don't know. No, I don't, what is a high-end trick, man? You know what I'm saying? I guess they like to be flexing their high-end trick, and this ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? It ain't nothing wrong with that, right? And the real thing is when they be talking, man, you gotta understand, especially from the internet perspective, they don't be, showing, the media only be showing like the vacations and the bags and the luxury dinners, that soft life clips. They don't really be showing, the loneliness, right? They don't really be showing the emotional confusion, right? Because they probably don't relate to that emotional confusion. You get what I'm saying? The ones that's trying to coach it and kick some game to the females that's in the lifestyle or thinking they in the lifestyle, in that gray area, whatever it may be. They all like anti the 16. They all anti the 16, right? And we're going to touch on that. Like, the madam, the digital madam versus the 16, right? And the comparison on, why one is trying to, which one manipulates, right? I believe the madams, the digital madams, because they taken into a whole nother plateau, especially when the social media open up, to where they're able to do real manipulation. Like I just said, they showing all of this glitz and glamours. And you gotta understand, a lot of females see that stuff and they don't give a damn where they came from. They just want to have what they seeing. So they not even gonna think, put 1 and 1, equals 2. They gonna straight be like, I don't care if she's telling the truth. I just want to be like her. I want to do this. So they gonna just think what she's saying has somewhat of truth to it. And reality it is that lady, most of these people, they could care less if they, walk you into a path of harm or walk you into a path of more, stress or whatever the case may be, to where you get manipulated, you could get double manipulated. You might think your plan is working with the trick and everything's going good, and then you think you running stuff, and guess what? He starts tricking the same way he started with you with somebody else. They ain't gonna talk about that. They not gonna talk about that though. You know what I mean?
She thought she knew the game, now she playing it away. Took her own route, now she moving day to day. No rules, no guide, she do it how she choosing. But when it get quiet and she all alone, that's a renegade illusion. renegade.